Hey, this is Mad Movie Mark of the Mad Movie Mark Movie Review. Thank you for joining me as I review the 2011 drama romance The Snows of Kilimanjaro.
Il sait parler. Il parle, il s'arrête plus, il parle, enfin, vous le
Hey, well, normally that is true. Normally I can just talk and talk and talk, but I will let you know I am feeling a bit under the weather today, but I will do the best I can to get this review out. So, The Snows of Kilimanjaro from 2011 has a 100% fresh rating from the critics on Rotten Tomatoes and a 74% fresh rating from the audience. This should not be confused with the 1952 movie, also called The Snows of Kilimanjaro, starring Gregory Peck and Ava Gardner. That movie is about a novel written by Ernest Hemingway. This movie is about a song. So in this movie, Jean-Pierre Darroussin plays Michel, and Ariane Ascardie plays Marie-Clare. Now, Michel is the union leader at his job, and they have to fire 20 people. So he decides he's going to randomly put everyone's name in a hat, including his own. He's going to draw the names, and the 20 people he draws are going to be fired. So he ends up drawing his own name, which his friend / I think his brother-in-law tells him, you don't have to put your name in this, you're the union leader. And Michel says, well, it's the only fair thing to do to put my name in this hat as well. So Michel ends up being fired, and his friends and his coworkers who were let go decide to throw him and his wife a 30-year anniversary party. And at this anniversary party, they give him tons of money in a box. They give him tickets, him and his wife, tickets to go on like a luxury cruise. And also he gets a comic book that it's very much like a comic book he used to have as a kid, with his name signed on it. It's like the first edition of a first #1 comic or something. Very rare, a comic book that's worth a lot of money. Now this comic book will come into play later. So they get all this stuff. They're very thankful. Even though he lost his job, they feel like they are very rich because they have fantastic friends. Now, a few days later, Michel and his wife, Marie-Clare, and his friend, I think it's his wife's sister also, are just enjoying an evening at Michel's house. And two criminals come in and they like beat Marie-Clare up a little bit, and they beat the friend's wife up a little bit, and they say like, where's the money in the box and all this stuff. So Marie-Clare ends up giving him the money, and then they go away. Now, of course, after this, the friend's wife is completely, she's just destroyed mentally. She's unconsolable. She's having a very hard time getting through this near-death robbery experience that they had. And Michel is upset, and he is hurt, and he pretty much wishes he could know what happened. Now, after this, we are introduced to one of Michel's former coworkers, and we learn pretty quickly that he was one of the men who robbed Michel. He plans on robbing his, I think it's his like landlord, once he figures out that she has all this money in a safe. Now, he is raising his two brothers, who are very much younger than him, because their mom left them, and so did their dad. Their mom kind of like is trying to pursue this man, and she really never wanted kids. She washes her hands on these children. She says, I don't really care what happens to them. So this guy who is the criminal is helping to raise his two brothers. Now, one day Michel is on a bus with the two children, with this guy's two children, and he sees that they are reading the comic book that was stolen from his house. So he follows them home, and he realizes that the man who is their brother or father, he doesn't know their relationship yet, but this is the man he used to work with, and this is the man who stole all of his stuff. So he turns him into the police arrest him. He admits that, yes, he did steal everything, and Michel asks to have a conversation with him, and in the conversation, he basically says, like, I was barely working there. You could have let go the people. You could have early retired people. You could have let go people who had wives and families and people who were well off monetarily. Like, the way you got rid of people was terrible, and I have a family to feed. So yes, I stole from you, essentially, is what he said. Now, Michel feels guilty because he feels that he's going to be getting a good pension from this job. He's going to be getting a good retirement. That maybe he doesn't want to press charges because he sees why this guy robbed him. He sees the reasoning behind it, and he thinks that the reasoning is a good reason. Now, he tells the cops he's going to drop all the charges. The cops say it doesn't really matter because the crime was committed. He confessed to the crime, so it doesn't matter if you drop charges or not. He's going to be charged with this, and he's looking at like 15 years. Now, Michel tells his friend that he plans that he doesn't want to charge him anymore, and his friend gets really upset because he says, like, my wife is not the same person. She has been very, she's mentally anguished by what's happened, by the robbery, and I want him to be in jail for as long as he can. I want revenge. I want redemption for my wife, who can barely act like a person anymore. So there's a confrontation here. Now, Marie-Clare realizes that this gentleman had two brothers that are very young. So she goes over to the house and she tries to kind of see where the situation is at, how they're doing, what kind of situation they're in. She confronts their mom, who says she wants nothing to do with the children. So she eventually decides she's going to go over to the house every day and take care of these two children while their brother is in prison. And eventually, at the end of the movie, she decides that she wants to take the children in to her house. Michel agrees. They end up adopting the children. Now, they believe that their friends are going to have a huge problem with this because their friends were really angry that they wanted to drop the charges. They were really angry that they didn't want to pursue anything. But at the end of the movie, I think their friends end up seeing that the kids are in a really bad situation and they're fine with it. They're like, we understand what's going on. We're okay with it. Let's be one here. Let's be friends. Like, we think that what you're doing is a good idea. And that's basically the entire movie. I will say, first of all, this movie was incredibly hard to come by because it doesn't stream anywhere. And I couldn't buy the Blu-ray copy because it was restricted in my region. Apparently, you can't watch it in the US. So I had to buy the regular DVD copy. It took a long time to get it, so this is a bit out of order for this movie, but I think it was worth it. I thought this movie was incredible. Jean-Pierre Darroussin, I think that's his name, but I'm probably mispronouncing it. He delivers such a powerful performance in this movie. He is so good in this movie. He is the fantastic as the anguished man who loses his job, and then he tries to, start his life over again. And then once he's robbed, you really see that kind of festering, that he's sad, he's depressed, but he's also very angry that this has happened. And he just juggles all the emotions amazingly. Also, Ariane Ascardie, I think that's how you pronounce the girl who played Marie-Clare. She's also fantastic in this movie as well, especially towards the end of the movie. I feel like at the beginning of the movie, she doesn't get a whole lot to do. It's mostly about Michel, his job, and the guy who robbed them. And at the end of the movie, she kind of gets more dialogue. She kind of gets more stuff to do, and she shines. She does a very spectacular job. The music in this movie is also fantastic. Now, we're starting to get to the era, to the time periods where people use like soundtracks and actual like real songs from your normal daily life in the movies, and the soundtrack is incredible. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I thought the cinematography was amazing. The script is fantastic. This is a lot like Wild Bill in that you have only this is like a prequel to Wild Bill, almost, where Wild Bill, we meet him after he comes out of prison. He has two kids that have just been basically raising themselves, and he has to try to adopt them. This movie is similar in that a guy is going to prison, and there's two kids that have nowhere to go, so they also have to be adopted. But it's still a very unique movie. I don't think I've seen a movie before where the person who is being robbed, or the person who is the victim of a crime, has a lot of sympathy for the criminal and actually wants to try to help the criminal's family in any way they can, because they realize that this is a situation that the kids didn't ask for. They're going to be in a very hard spot, and they're trying everything they can to make sure that these kids have the life they should have. And I thought it was absolutely spectacular. It's not a like plot twist that I expected. I don't really read anything about what the movie's about before I go into it. So it was I don't want to say plot twist, because people expect weird things when you say plot twist, but it was something that I didn't expect, and I thought it was done incredibly well. I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I thought it was very good, and I hope you join me next time. I don't know when I'm going to do my next review. I might try with my voice like this, or I might try and wait until my voice is better, but I have been sick for a week and a half, so who knows when that's going to happen. Thank you. Have a great day.